This is the Intercontinental Casting Corporation. Sa bagong Pilipinas.
Good evening, this is 13 News.
We bring you the day's top stories.
And that shape the country and the world.
Let's get into the headlines right now. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. orders fast-tracking of waste clearing in Parañaque Water Channel and vows more waste facilities.
The MMDA pushes for 5,000 peso penalty for littering against violators, awaiting ordinances from local government units.
Day 15 of impeachment trial, prosecution and defense teams clash during cross-examination of a COA state auditor.
Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri denies allegations made by former DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan, saying he never handled project lists as Senate President.
And in news abroad, black oil covers Iranian beaches after tankers spilled crude into the Strait of Hormuz.
All these and more here on 13 News.
We begin tonight's newscast with the government ramping up waste clearing operations in Metro Manila after hundreds of tons of garbage piled up in the Redemptorist Water Channel in Baclaran, Parañaque amid days of heavy rains.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. personally inspected the clearing operations, while the MMDA also warned against irresponsible waste disposal.
The president also pushed for more waste disposal facilities and long-term solutions to the country's garbage problem. Let's have the full details from IBC News correspondent Harley Valbuena.
In the past days, the Redemptorist Water Channel in Baclaran, Parañaque became a sea of trash. But now, it starts to clear off after President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. ordered to fast-track waste clearing operations. Metropolitan Manila Development Authority said around 500 tons of garbage was already collected over Redemptorist Water Channel since Sunday amid non-stop rains. President Marcos Jr. inspected the waste clearing operations in Baclaran.
First time na nangyari nito, 3 days ago, napuno itong Parañaque. Dito sa Parañaque nangyari ito eh. Dati hindi nangyayari yan eh.
He also checks the ongoing clearing operations at Jokno Pumping Station in Pasay City. The president said that while it cannot be called a crisis yet, the current garbage problem can still be considered critical. However, he is not keen on imposing stiffer penalties against those who practice improper waste disposal.
It's not useful to fine people for not throwing their garbage if there is no place to put their garbage. Of course, people are aware that there are fines. Nobody wants to be fined. Wala namang gusto na mamumultahan.
But the MMDA has a message for irresponsible waste disposals.
Huwag nang dagdagan ng stress, huwag nang dagdagan ng problema nitong ginawa nating sistema. Ito ay nakaprograma na. Huwag nang dagdagan ng irresponsible behavior.
The president then assures more waste disposal facilities are coming. He also pushed the Waste to Energy program, where garbage will be converted to energy to be used in power plants. Harley Valbuena, IBC News.
Meanwhile, the MMDA is pushing for tougher action on Metro Manila's littering fines, but says it is still waiting for each city's ordinances before fully enforcing the 5,000 peso penalty. This comes after the sea of trash that choked waterways at the Redemptorist Channel in Parañaque City, massive blankets of plastic bottles, styrofoam, and debris following intense monsoon habagat rains. Chairman Romando Arte says cleanup crews are working non-stop to clear the enormous amount of garbage, deploying extra equipment and skimmers to stop garbage from washing back into the waterway. As of today, 96 trucks or over 1,200 cubic meters of garbage has been collected by the authorities. Artes adds that LGUs and residents must share responsibility as agencies continue clearing operations across the capital.
The death toll from the combined effects of the southwest monsoon or habagat and tropical cyclones Luis and Maymay has risen to 26. That is according to the data of the Philippine National Police. 15 people remain injured and 2 remain missing. The PNP reported that 25 civilians and 1 police officer died in weather-related incidents as of Tuesday afternoon. The Cordillera Administrative Region recorded the highest number of fatalities with 16 deaths, mostly due to landslides in Baguio and city of Benguet. The casualties were recorded in several incidents involving landslides, falls, flood-related drowning, electrocution, and falling trees brought by the weather disturbances. Meanwhile, the Officer of Civil Defense reports that 3.1 million individuals, or more than 909,000 families, have been affected by the enhanced southwest monsoon and tropical cyclones Luis and Maymay. Flooded areas in the latest report response operations remain ongoing. Tropical storm Nangka outside the area of responsibility intensifies further. Based on Pag-asa's latest forecast, Nangka was last located around 2,000 kilometers east of extreme northern Luzon. It is moving eastward away from Par. It will not directly affect any part of the country. For now, the southwest monsoon or habagat is still bringing rains over Luzon. Expect cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms in Metro Manila, Ilocos Region, Benguet, Abra, Zambales, Bataan, Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Bulacan, Cavite, and Laguna, as well as in Batangas, Rizal, Palawan, Marinduque, Occidental Mindoro, and Oriental Mindoro. Meanwhile, Visayas and Mindanao will have partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rains or thunderstorms due to localized thunderstorms.
On the 15th day of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial, the defense and prosecution clashed during the cross-examination of a COA state auditor over the use of documents in court. The hearing also focused on COA's findings on the OVP and DepEd confidential funds as the prosecution pressed the COA witness on her documentation, compliance with the joint circular, and the possible disallowance in confidential funds. IBC News correspondent Patrick Gupo has the details for today's proceedings.
Tensions flared between the prosecution and defense panels as the defense began its cross-examination of COA ICFO auditor Saidin Del Campo on the 15th day of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial.
Can we just use the prosecution's copies, Your Honor?
But, Your Honor, we have prepared, visual aid.
Show the document.
Yeah, I will. I am showing the defense document.
No, we will not agree,
Your Honor, the counsel cannot dictate how I will proceed with my cross-examination. Can the counsel, Your Honor, be reminded that I must cross-examine?
We will not agree, Your Honor, to
what are you not agreeing to, Attorney Kapunan?
Documents.
I'm sorry?
Because precisely there was no stipulation yesterday.
There was,
now
Your Honor.
constraint. Excuse me, counsel.
The exchange started after Kapunan objected to defense counsel Christine Ferrer's use of the defense's copy of an audit observation memorandum. Kapunan insisted that the defense should use the prosecution's marked evidence, which had already been identified and authenticated by Del Campo. The two lawyers clashed again as the cross-examination continued.
Not all questions can be answered by yes
I am
or
on
no.
cross, Your Honor, please.
Counsels.
Never mind if you're on cross. There are limits to cross-examination. Misleading questions are not allowed.
They are allowed.
Counsels, please, counsels.
Senate Impeachment Court Presiding Officer Francis Chis Escudero then stepped in and urged both sides to lower the tension.
Let's not allow the generational or seeming generational divide increase the tension in the courtroom. Let's keep it a notch lower.
Your Honor, please, I am preventing myself from giving her a spanking, Your Honor.
I have high respect for Attorney Kapunan. In fact, she's one of
You
my
can end there,
idols.
counsel.
Let's end here.
You can end there.
It might sound like a eulogy, Your Honor. I'm still very much alive.
Despite the exchange, the defense proceeded with its questioning of Del Campo, who was assigned to audit confidential funds of several national government agencies, including the OVP and DepEd. The defense presented certifications from VP SPG head Colonel Raymond Chica detailing surveillance and information gathering activities. But Del Campo said these documents did not pass COA's evaluation as proof of success of the intelligence activities. Presiding officer Escudero himself asked whether an actual apprehension was necessary to establish the success of information gathering or surveillance operations.
Wala pong nakalagay. Ang nakalagay lang po, proof of success of information gathering and or surveillance.
So, interpretasyon niyo po yun na dapat may mahuli para maging successful?
Ay base po yun sa aking professional judgment and based on the evaluation po ng documents na ito is based po sa joint circular.
Del Campo added that in other agencies she had audited, documents showing apprehensions were present when rewards were given. After the defense completed its cross-examination, the prosecution conducted its redirect. Kapunan asked Del Campo whether there had been any alteration, substitution, or interruption in the chain of custody of the documents submitted by the OVP and DepEd to COA.
Hindi po, kasi yung opisina rin po namin is kami lang po yung nandun and may nakabantay po rito na security guard 24 hours. And yung document po na ito, nakalagay po ito sa cabinet na nakalock.
The prosecution also returned to the issue of using confidential funds for an official's personal activities. Del Campo said personal activities are not chargeable to confidential funds. She also confirmed that confidential activities are not part of the mandates of the OVP and DepEd. During the interpellation of the senator judges, Del Campo was also asked about the COA notice of disallowance, the appeals filed by the OVP, and the possibility of disallowing the entire 612.5 million peso confidential fund of the OVP and DepEd. Del Campo said this could be possible depending on the results of the audit and the documents that may be submitted. Senator Judge Risa Hontiveros also asked whether COA flagged the large expenditures of the OVP and DepEd.
Irregular po yung paggamit nila kasi po hindi po ito compliant with the joint circular.
Di naging compliant.
Dahil po ngayon sa payment of rewards were not supported with documents evidencing success, and yun nga po hindi nila na-provide yung additional documents necessary para ma-ascertain yung purchase of supplies and medical and food aid. At saka po meron din kaming naging findings sa reimbursement.
Before the adjournment, the impeachment court also issued subpoenas for the next witnesses, including House of Representatives official Maribik Pareja, as well as Edward Fajarda, Gina Acosta, and Lemuel Ortoño. They are expected to appear from August 17, 18, and 19 as the court continues its discussion of Article 1 of the Articles of Impeachment involving the alleged misuse and misapplication of confidential funds of the OVP and DepEd. Patrick Gupo, IBC News.
To help us break down today's 15th day of the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte, we have on the line Attorney Gigi Agabao, a legal expert and former prosecutor during the Corona impeachment trial. Good evening, Attorney, and welcome back to 13 News po.
Thank you very much for having me again, and good evening to everyone.
Yes, it's nice to have you back, Attorney. Attorney, today, COA Auditor Eileen Del Campo maintained that the use of confidential funds was irregular and not compliant with the joint circular, particularly because documents showing the success of the activities were not provided. How significant is this testimony to the prosecution's case po?
If I were to characterize it, it's very, very highly important. Not only the testimony actually of the Campo, but to include the testimony of Attorney Wamil. You see, the evidence provided by the Campo and Attorney Wamil supplied the prosecution with neutral, technical evidence to prove that the confidential fund of the Vice President was misused, it was misappropriated, and that the liquidation were irregular. If we go back to the allegations in Article 1, that is what the prosecution has said, that the Vice President has misused our funds. And through the Campo and Attorney Wamil, they were able to show that funds were used to purchase computers, they were used to purchase tables, they were used to purchase goods and medicines, which of course is not within the framework of confidential fund uses. Let us note that confidential fund uses is devoted exclusively for national security concerns and peace and order
concerns. No? In short, both De Campo and Wamil provided the factual foundation of Article 1 of the impeachment complaint.
Del Campo also said the entire 612.5 million peso confidential fund of the OVP and DepEd could potentially be disallowed depending on the audit and supporting documents. How could such a finding affect the impeachment case against the VP po?
I think if the COA indeed disallows 612.5 million, that totally disallows the entire confidential fund of the Vice President for 2022 and 2023. No? I think that would be a bad narrative for the Vice President because first, it shows that the irregularities are not isolated, that the irregularities are not few and far between. It shows that the irregularities are systemic and that the failure of accountability is widespread and systemic. I think this is very bad for the Vice President.
Sir, lastly, we saw tensions during the cross-examination today, particularly over the use of documents and the scope of questioning. From a legal standpoint, how important is procedural fairness in an impeachment trial, and could these disputes affect the credibility of the proceedings?
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you very much for asking that. Procedural fairness is indispensable. Mm-hmm. Why? Because procedural fairness attaches validity, it attaches legitimacy to the impeachment process. No? Procedural fairness actually is due process, which is guaranteed by the Constitution. So due process means that both the prosecution, the defense, including the senator judges, must be afforded the opportunity to hear the evidence and be given a chance to hear their side. No? In fact, to me, procedural fairness is so important because however the result of the impeachment trial be, whether it results in the conviction of the Vice President or it results in her acquittal, if the people sees that the process has been fair, they will accept the verdict. They will accept the outcome. And if that happens, I think it's the Filipino people that wins because they know and they believe that our system of accountability works.
Okay, thank you very much for your insights, Attorney Gigi Agabao. We will see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
House Nuclear Energy Committee Chairperson Mark Cuangco is pushing to finally activate the Bataan nuclear power plant amid soaring electricity demand. Cuangco argued that if the plant had been operational decades ago, the Philippines would not be lagging behind neighbors in power costs. He insists the power plant's age is not an issue, citing its intact construction and comparing it to older U.S. facilities in use.
We import fossil fuels and then we just burn it for electricity. A very sad situation. That Vietnam today is at 68,000 megawatts. We used to be ahead of them before. We are at 22,000 megawatts. They are 3 times bigger than us already. When are we going to wake up?
Several lawmakers warn against rushing, stressing the need for strict consultations with nearby residents. The debate continues with Cuangco urging the local government of Bataan to submit a position paper.
It needs to be confirmed and established.
Absolutely.
Number one, to justify the special treatment for nuclear. Second, with respect to the social license, I see a double standard in this bill. In that for new nuclear facilities, the bill requires a social license, but for Bataan, we were not given an opportunity, sir, with all due respect.
With all due respect, Your Honor, the consultations.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
province of Cavite remains under a state of calamity due to heavy damage from monsoon rains and storms Luis and Maymay. Under the resolution, the local government may use 10 million pesos from the 2026 Quick Response Fund. Over 10,000 families were affected, including riverside communities in Bacoor and in nearby Las Piñas. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. visited the city to inspect flood control equipment and distribute aid. IBC correspondent Victor Liantino has the story.
The floodwaters may have cleared from several homes here in Cavite, but the fear of the Zapote River's overflowing once again continues to haunt its residents. Despite the receding waters, the entire province remains under a state of calamity due to the severe devastation brought about by the typhoon and the southwest monsoon. To accelerate recovery efforts, the provincial board has passed a resolution authorizing Governor Francisco Gabriel Abing Remulla to utilize 10 million pesos from the Quick Response Fund of the 2026 Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Fund. Based on the data from the PDRRMC, 20 LGUs were battered by heavy rains and widespread flooding. This translates to over 10,000 families, or roughly 34,000 individuals affected. Among the hardest hit are the residents of the barangay Zapote 3 in Bacoor, Cavite, a community situated right along the banks of the Zapote River. At the first drop of rain, residents here are already on high alert, immediately packing their belongings. But despite the constant threat and repeated evacuation, many choose to stay, saying they have nowhere else to go.
Pasalamat na lang po kami, meron pong riprap, kung hindi po talagang mataas po talagang baha dito. Lalo na pag sinabayan po ng high tide.
Siguro sa mga ginawa nilang maayos na rin sa sa mga yung flood ko na yung dredging nila. Yan siguro. Kaya medyo mababa na yung tubig.
Naiisip din kaya alam mahirap kasi mangupahan eh. Dito kasi hindi naman kami nangungupahan. Kumbaga sa talagang dito kami nakaano. Kaya nagtitiis na lang kami dito.
Businesses and residents also bore the brunt of the heavy flooding in Las Piñas. However, the situation here has seen some improvement. Thanks to a self-drainage pump installed by the DPWH, the agony of the residents was slightly eased. Floodwaters that used to reach above high level have now dropped to knee-deep. Still, the impact remains significant, with over 2,000 families affected in the city.
Opo, pero mababa na lang po. Hindi na siya yung gaano kataas. Hindi katulad nung dati. Sobrang taas talaga ng baha. Basta alam namin may bagyo, ayun na, nagtataas na namin. Nag-advance na kami. Kasi alam namin baba eh.
The national government is keeping a close watch on the rehabilitation efforts. Just yesterday, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. personally visited Las Piñas to check on the victims and distribute aid to those affected by the habagat. The president also inspected the city's mobile water pumps and visited families at the evacuation centers. Victor Liantino, IBC News.
Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri is denying allegations that he personally controlled the distribution of the Senate's controversial leadership fund. This comes after an explosive testimony from former DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan in the malversation case involving former Senator Bong Revilla and DPWH officials in Bulacan. Bonoan also confirmed infrastructure lists linked to Senators Robin Padilla and Bongo. IBC correspondent Juan Antonio has the details on today's proceedings.
Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri denied the allegation that he had the discretion to allocate the leadership fund to his fellow senators. This comes after former DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan testified on the malversation case against former Senator Bong Revilla and other former DPWH Bulacan 1st District officials.
Mr. President, I was told today that during the testimony of Secretary Bonoan that my name was dragged as the Senate President at the time when it came to allocables given to public politicians and legislators. For the record, Mr. President, and you know this, and many of our colleagues know this, all the senators know this, I never handled project lists. All requests were coursed through the Senate Finance Committee. For the record, as Senate President, I never requested, held, or handled any list of project requests from senators.
He also said that Revilla had received 1 billion peso allocation for its infrastructure projects, including the flood control in Pandi, Bulacan. Bonoan also said that a regular senator has a 5 million peso leadership fund, while chairperson of the major committee in the Senate has 1 billion peso allocation, including Revilla. The former DPWH chief clarified that leadership fund is not irregular, as senators are entitled with that. It will become irregular if the senator will be asked for a kickback on a project. Aside from Revilla, former DPWH Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo submitted a list of infrastructure projects linked to the leadership fund from Senator Robin Padilla and Senator Bongo. Bonoan also said that there is no document signed by the senators that will prove that they are the one who requested the projects, as there is no proper format or communications being implemented for the senators to request from the leadership funds. Senator Bongo questioned the allegations.
Anong listahan ba ang tinutukoy niya? Dahil sigurado po ako na wala naman tayong ipinasang listahan kay Yusek Bernardo.
Juan Antonio, IBC News.
The Bureau of Internal Revenue is reporting a strong start to the year. The BIR collected over 2 trillion pesos from January to July, beating its target by 13.5 billion pesos. July alone brought in 358 billion pesos, surpassing the monthly goal and marking a solid year-on-year growth. Commissioner Charlito Mendoza says the agency has already hit 60% of its full-year target, crediting better taxpayer service, clearer rules, and tighter enforcement. He also added that simpler processes and expanded digital services are helping boost compliance. Mendoza says the Bureau will continue ensuring taxes are paid correctly, fairly, and on time.
Makati Medical Center has acquired new equipment to help speed up cancer detection and enable earlier diagnosis. The Aperio GT180DX is a scanner that creates digital images of tissue samples, allowing pathologists to examine them digitally for a patient's diagnosis. Makati Medical Center is the first in Southeast Asia to utilize the technology.
Hopefully that will be faster for cancer patients and relieve them of their anxiety and their families, and of course start their treatment. So when they start their treatment, they have a better, of course, chance of healing. Dahil digital na siya, pwede na natin siyang gamitin yung images para sa research. So makapag-aral tayo, particularly Philippine cancers, because we don't have much data.
Pop boy group SB19 has dropped the official music video for Toy Friend. The track is a collaboration with Japanese boy group Be First and is part of the P-pop group's second studio album, Wakas at Simula. The music video was filmed during the Japanese group's visit to the Philippines in April this year. Meanwhile, SB19 successfully kicked off day one of its I Was There Thanksgiving fan meet in Sacramento, California. The group will next bring the Thanksgiving fan meet to Japan.
Iranian island beaches have turned black as oil from tankers in the Strait of Hormuz spills along the coastline. Meanwhile, international aid is pouring into Colombia as the country recovers from a powerful earthquake. Let's have more international news from CJ Reyes.
Iranian beaches have been covered with black oil after tankers spilled crude into the Strait of Hormuz. Keshem Island has been hit by a thick oil slick, with the contamination stretching for around 1 kilometer along the coastline. A satellite image taken by the European Space Agency Sentinel-2 shows the extent of the oil spill off Keshem and Hengam Islands near the Strait of Hormuz. Local environmental officials have raised concerns over the contamination of beaches and its threat to marine ecosystems. In other news, international aid has started pouring in Colombia following the magnitude 7.4 earthquake that struck the country. The EU Civil Protection and Humanitarian Aid has released 2.1 million euros in humanitarian assistance and activated Copernicus Emergency Management Service to support rescue operations. Chinese companies in Colombia have also sent heavy equipment to the hardest hit areas, with their teams helping in rescue and clearing operations. El Salvador has also provided its first package of 51 tons of humanitarian aid, with another 50 tons expected to follow. Meanwhile, the highly anticipated total solar eclipse will take place today, August 12. The path of totality will cross parts of Greenland, Iceland, Spain, and Portugal. NASA will also broadcast the celestial event for international audiences. The live stream begins at 1:15 a.m. Philippine Standard Time tomorrow, August 13, on NASA's X account and its official website, nasa.gov/live. CJ Reyes, IBC News.
Filipina tennis star Alex Ayala gets another boost ahead of her Cincinnati Open campaign after being seeded 17th in the WTA 1000 tournament. The world number 20 Ayala will receive a first-round bye and will face the winner between Poland's Magda Linette and Romania's Elena Gabriela Ruse in the second round. The Cincinnati Open begins August 13 and will run until August 23 at the Linder Family Tennis Center in Mason, Ohio, USA. Ayala is coming off a grueling 2-week run that included her first WTA singles title at the Mubadala DC Open and a round of 16 finish at the Canadian Open. The Las Pilipinas girls have made history by advancing to the round of 16 of the FIBA Girls U17 World Championship in Chile, the best ever finish by a Philippine volleyball team at the World Championship level. The Philippines earned its spot in the knockout stage after stunning world number 8 Mexico and world number 20 Tunisia, while putting up a gritty fight against world number 12 Venezuela. The Alas girls will now face South Korea in the round of 16 with a spot in the quarterfinals on the line. Regardless of the result, the team has already surpassed the previous best World Championship finish by a Philippine volleyball team, which was the 19th place finish of the Alas Pilipinas men in last year's FIBA Men's World Championship. And before we wrap up tonight's newscast, we bring you the results of the PCSO's 9 p.m. lottery draws. For the Mega Lotto 645, the winning numbers are 25, 37, 11, 26, 2, and 22 with a jackpot price of 15 million pesos. For the Grand Lotto 655, the winning combination is 53, 36, 21, 8, 46, and 43 with a jackpot price of 128,414,048 pesos and 39 centavos. For the 4D Lotto, the winning combination in exact order is 0, 0, 0, and 0. For the 3D Lotto, the winning numbers are 6, 9, and 6. And finally, for the 2D Lotto draw, the winning numbers are 22 and 6. There are no winners for the Mega Lotto 645 and Grand Lotto 655. And those were the latest from the IBC Newsroom this evening. I am William Thio.
We'll continue to monitor the stories that matter and bring you updates as they develop. I'm Angela C.
And I'm Gabrielle Lopez. This is 13 News, keeping you informed. Good night.